What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Architect the Dreamer, back with episode number 2 of Between the Lines. For those of you that checked out the first episode, thank you so much. It means the world to me. And as you guys know, that first episode was with a fellow reactor, Rage Circus. And this episode is going to be the first episode with an artist. And it is my new friend, Parris Mitchell. How are you doing, man?
So good, dude. So good.
I'm so stoked to be able to do this, especially after like some of the conversations we had pre-recording. It just kind of feels like this friendship was like meant to happen. Outside of the horrible Giants hat, which I'll forgive you for, but
wow, dude, fucking just throwing that at me, dude. I felt we had a really good connection going on for the last half hour, and then you just throw that, dude.
Do you want? Okay, so before we get into everything, here's my reason. So I'm a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan. So back in I don't remember what year it was, but there was one year where the Vikings played the Giants in the NFC Championship game, and you guys demolished us like 41-0. And from that day on, I have just despised the Giants.
At least you're not a Patriots fan, so it's okay.
Oh, nope, can't do that. I have far too many friends that are, but I'm so excited that you're here. Before we kind of dive in, if this is your first time on my channel, if this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome. I'm so stoked that you're here. Make sure you click that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, click that little bell so you'll get a notification every time I drop a new episode or every time I drop a new reaction video. Make sure to follow me on socials at ATDmusic. And then right now, I'm just going to give you the opportunity. If you want to throw your socials out there, we'll do this at the end as well. But Parris, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at Parris Mitchell Music on Instagram, at Parris Mitchell Mitchell Music. Okay. And then you can follow me on Spotify. I sometimes I'm on Threads. If they're TikTok, Parris Mitchell Music.
Yeah.
It's where my buddy right here. So
yeah,
that's pretty much Parris Mitchell Music all across the places.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of give some background to our listeners, you and I connected because my girlfriend ended up finding you on her FYP on TikTok and sent me your video, and you were kind of promoting your single that just came out a couple weeks ago when this is being recorded. And called Honey Eye, and I was obsessed with the clip that I saw on TikTok and was like, okay, I need to react to this. And so I just sent you a message and we connected, and I ended up reacting to it on my channel, and I fucking love that song, dude. Like the hook is literally like, I was at work today finding myself singing it. Like, just it's so catchy. So before we get into, because we'll talk about the single and we'll talk about like the stuff that you have in the works, but I want to take it all the way back to the beginning. So you and I are around the same age. We kind of grew up in the same era of music. When you were a kid and kind of growing up, what was the thing? What was the artist? What was the song? Whatever it was that really like gripped you and started to make you fall in love with music, both as a listener and then as a performer, as a singer yourself?
It's so funny because on the surface level, that sounds like a very easy question, but it's, so
it's not.
There's so much going on there.
Yeah.
I would say, so I grew up doing theater.
Okay.
Musical theater. And both my parents are singers and performers in their day. And they were always playing, Fleetwood Mac. They were playing Journey. They were playing, everything else. My mother was very country. She loved country music.
Okay.
And my dad liked the kind of classic rock stuff. I feel like country music like really connects with those very linear hooks, like the one-liner kind of things. Like, what's that one tune? Whose boots have your bed been under?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember the artist.
I will admit, I'm not a huge country guy. Like the country I listen to is old school, like Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash.
I'm a very big like Randy Travis guy myself.
Okay,
but,
okay, yeah.
but like the like country hooks, like that kind of those lines that are very clever,
earworms. Yeah,
very very earworm, and like and I think I was always very attracted to those. And I think over the years it's found its way into like my writing. But I don't think I never really necessarily had a particular band or artist where I was like, oh my God, I want to emulate that. And that really inspired me. It's always just been songs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of trailed into my musicality and my artistry as itself, in that I've never been so hung up on one particular genre or one particular artist. It's always just been what song is affecting me right now? Like, what am I hearing? I mean, if you go to my Spotify, like my personal one and all my liked songs and playlists and stuff, it's you know, it's all over the place, because it really is just a matter of what speaks to me in that moment in life. I feel like there have been times where it's like, you know, a Chance the Rapper song really makes me feel like, wow, I'm being seen right now. And then a week or two later, it's like, wow, this, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire song, or this, you know, Ray Charles song, or this, you know, Michael McDonald song is really you know, speaking to me in this moment. Yeah. So it's always been kind of that. I will say, like, now at my age, like, I've definitely found certain artists that I will go to. You know, I love the Doobie Brothers. I love Michael McDonald.
Okay.
I literally was just at dinner with my girlfriend, and there's a guy that sells records on the side of the street. Okay. And there was a Michael McDonald record right there, and I immediately just grabbed it, and I was like, how much is this? I love Christopher Cross. I like a lot of yacht. Like, lately, I'm like, not even lately, but just like in general, I really love yacht rock.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of it. There's a great yacht rock documentary.
Okay.
On HBO that I recommend everybody watches.
What's it called?
If you're a musician.
Not sure off the top of your head.
we have the technology, but it was so great because it was just like it's actually called Yacht Rock, a documentary.
Oh, very straightforward.
But it was so great because it talked about so many. It talked about Toto. It talked about you know, the Doobie Brothers. It talked about Steely Dan. It talked about a bunch of these artists, about how, like, they were all just connected and playing on each other's records. They were all really session musicians. I mean, Toto's just a bunch of session musicians. Yeah. But the fact that they were all just so musically inclined and just so connected, where they were just like, hey, I got this one song. Can you come in and play on this? Hey, I got this one song. Can you come sing on this? I mean, as an artist, like, you know, that feels like such a dream, that you're just in this tight-knit community that's just like, I'll play on your song, you play on my song, you play on my record, I'll play on your record. Yeah. But so much great music came from out of that. But anyway, going back to the point.
You're good, man.
Yeah, no, I love a lot of those bands. There was a long period where my dad, when I was a kid, I would like work for his company for like, you know, $50 to buy a PlayStation game kind of thing. And we'd have these long drives, and he played me John Mayer for the first time. But this is before even Room for Squares. Like, I think it was his EP or something. He actually had known somebody who knew somebody who had the EP and introduced him. And we listened to it consistently, and I was like, wow, this is really great lyrics. Like, I love the artistry of it, the musicianship, and then when Room for Squares came out, his first record, I was so into it, and then it started getting I think, what was it, No Such Thing, his first single. It started getting placed in a bunch of TV shows and stuff, and my dad would come to me and be like, hey, do you see our guy? He's I love that. Our guy. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, our guy. And now it's, you know,
dude, Continuum was like the soundtrack to my junior year of high school.
Yeah, that's exactly mine. I actually remember I am a terrible sleeper, and I hate waking up to alarms. And when I was in 10th grade in high school, I would put Continuum in a record, in a boombox, like in a CD in the boombox. and I would ask my mother, rather than knock on the door and be like, get ready for school, I would ask her to play track 5 on Continuum, which was Heart of Life, I think it was called.
Yeah.
To wake me up when
It's a good wake up song.
a little bougie for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old.
Dude, I was 16 years old singing Slow Dancing in a Burning Room like I knew what that story was about.
Yeah, you're like, I know this feeling. I felt this.
Yeah. I've never experienced any actual heartache or heartbreak or anything, but I know exactly what this feels like.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that your parents were singers and that you kind of grew up in a musical family, which is the parallels between you and I just continue. My dad was in the radio side of music, and then my mom was a singer, and so was her family. They had like a quartet, and my grandpa played piano. But for you, like growing up around that music, was that something where like your parents were encouraging you to do the same thing? Was it something that you just kind of like enjoyed and found yourself doing on your own? Or what was that experience like getting into like outside of the listening side of things, but getting into like the actual singing side? Because I remember singing for the first time This Little Light of Mine when I was 5 years old up in church as a kid. And that's like the earliest recording of me singing. What was that like for you?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was, I think they put me in sports and they were like, well, this is fucked. I went for my first pop up in the outfield in baseball and it hit me right in the square in the nose. And they were like, all right, maybe he could do something else.
That's
but they were very into, music and theater and stuff. And, they had a friend of theirs, a friend of my dad's, who opened up, basically a theater school for kids.
Okay.
Tap dance, jazz.
Yeah.
Musical theater class, singing classes and things. And they put me in that when I was in first grade or kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
And honestly, now that I think back, I think I hated it. I think I was like, I don't want to dance. I don't want to whatever. But I always did love singing. So when I had the musical theater class and we'd sing, I enjoyed that. And I didn't think I didn't think anything of it when I was a kid. I didn't think I was good or bad or anything of that nature because I was kind of surrounded by it. Mm-hmm. And then I think around like fourth grade, when they finally did like a school play or whatever, I auditioned for it and got the lead. And then I thought in that moment, like, oh, maybe it was the first time I got praise from anybody that wasn't my parents.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay, this is a different validation. This makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just.
Do you remember what that play was?
Yes. Oh my God. Of course. It was Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. And I played Charlie Brown, and I'm still friends with.
That's amazing.
My teacher from fourth grade.
That's incredible.
She's a very sweet, older lady that lives a couple of towns, honestly, away from where I grew up, and we still connect we try to connect every year, honestly. But she was the first time that was validation outside of my parents that was like, hey, you're really good at this. You should keep doing this. And then I just kind of, pursued it from there. And then like in high school and middle school and stuff, I would just like go for the musicals and get the parts. I go for the solos and get the solos. And I was like, okay, I think I'm pretty good at this. Like I seem to get recognition when I do this, and it feels validating, and I feel like I'm putting in the work. And and then it just kind of took off from there. And then I went to school. I went to college for theater, and I did that for quite a long time. And I had an agent, and I was auditioning for Broadway every day of the week, and I got really far in a lot of different aspects. But I mean, I just hated the auditioning stuff,
the grind of it.
I don't know, not necessarily the grind of it. It was just more of if I was having a bad day. Mm-hmm. And then I go into an audition room, and it's like, "How are you? I'm having such a great day." I just like it got to that point where I was like, I can't do that. Like it just, I don't know. It was difficult for me.
Kind of having to put on a mask in order to get to where you
Yeah,
wanted to get
yeah,
to.
exactly. And
Yeah.
listen, the people that can do that and do that, I mean, I have the utmost respect and praise for, because it's like, I think that's more difficult than the actual auditions and the
Hmm.
whatever the sides they give you or the songs they request you sing.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is acting like everything's great and I'm just in here to audition for you. And
Yeah.
so I always had a difficult time with that. And then around 2012, maybe 2013, I started writing music, and I was like,
Oh,
I
that was the first time that you like that far
yeah,
along was the first. Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. So I was very much like, I asked for a guitar for Christmas, got it,
Hmm.
and then I was like, I'm just gonna screw around on this and see what comes out of it, and I just started writing, and I felt really good about it. And then I posted a video on Facebook, obviously, of just playing a
Oh, yeah.
song I wrote, and it got like I didn't have like crazy amount of friends and stuff, but like for me personally, it did really well. Where I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's good too. Maybe I
Yeah.
should. Very similar to when I was like a little kid,
Hmm.
in elementary school, where they were like, hey, this is good. I got the same validation later when I was I don't know 21 or something, and it was, oh, this is good. So I thought, oh okay, if you're responding to this and this is good, that feels good for me. So
Hmm.
let me keep trying at it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was trying to join a band because I'm very, I don't even want to say I'm decent at guitar, because there's so many guitar players I know and so many friends that are just so good, where it's like, just because I can play a couple of chords doesn't mean that I'm good. So
Dude, I have
uh,
always said that like I'm mediocre at every instrument, but I'm a really good producer and I'm a really good singer. And so that like I can produce the hell out of a track, but if you want me to sit down and like so I can produce a guitar solo, but playing a guitar solo, I can't do it.
I get that, man. It's like it's both freeing and frustrating, because it's like I'll have things in my head where I'm like, I want to hear this, and I want it needs to sound like that, and I want it to be like that, but I can't physically myself do it. So it's
Hmm.
like I feel like such a big part of my job over the last, like, I don't know how many years, has been learning to communicate and convey the idea in a
Mm,
like logical way, where another, like a guitar player, a pianist, or a drummer can understand what I'm trying to get across.
yeah.
Um, that's what ended up happening was when I was looking to join a band, because I was like, I'm not going to do this by myself right now.
Yeah.
And I saw an ad for a band on Facebook randomly, and they were like, we're trying to play things like Incubus and Red Hot Chili
Okay.
Peppers, and I was like, oh yeah, these are all bands that I love.
Yeah.
And so I went for it, and got it, and then I was with that band and made some of the best friends of my life for the last I don't know, maybe 10 years, up until
Okay.
COVID,
Yeah.
uh, and that's when it all changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Your story is so cool because it just feels like it feels like the organic path of a creator where it's like I know that I want to make something, I know that I want to do something, but trying to kind of figure out which aspect of that is something that like I super relate to because before we started recording I was talking about like how I was involved in the comic book industry for a while and obviously within music and then like there's been a lot of these different like creative things that I've tried to do but trying to figure out like what is my thing like what is it that I'm gonna do
Yeah,
and so for you like it sounds like you spent quite a bit of time on stage and doing the theater side of things. How do you feel like that has transitioned into the kind of stuff that you're doing now from a like what things were you able to pick up from that you have now been able to use in your songwriting in your the music that you're making now that I think maybe other people wouldn't have that if they don't have that background.
yeah. I think that for starters, it being on stage at an early age granted me that kind of that grace of like, all right, I'm comfortable here right now. Like I learned at an early age, like to not be, but then also I've been in so many musicals, you know, when I was younger, like so many shows where maybe something goes wrong and I have to improvise, and, you know, kind of, for lack of a better terminology, kind of, you know, control the crowd in the sense of like, you know, hey, this is my story. I'm narrating it. And I'm going to lead you through it. And if there's a hiccup or two, like, don't worry, like I will walk you through it. Yeah. And I feel like that element has carried on to now, you know, I'm performing a show and, you know, I don't know, the backing track stops or, you know, whatever the case it is. Like, I think it gave me a lot of tools to be able to handle if something goes wrong on stage and still remain comfortable and still remain in control and still remain like, hey, nothing's wrong. This is that was actually planned. Like, you know, that's a joke. Like, but I feel like that definitely helped me. And then also I think it just created a thirst for it because I was doing it for so long, you know, literally since I was 8 or 9 years old. And I always felt so comfortable on there. I always felt like, you know, if I couldn't say something in real life, I could say it on the stage. And if I could say something in real life and it didn't feel like I was heard, I could say it 10 times louder over there. And what I'm trying to say will be heard. So I always felt that sense of it as well. So I always felt, and still to this day, feel like the most myself and the most comfortable when I'm on stage, like when I have an audience, when there's people to listen, you know?
I love that. So what were some of your favorite, like, productions that you were a part of, whether it's one specific or any that were just like memorable to you, either because of what they were or because of the family that you built with the people that were in the production, or what are some of those that like you have such good memories of?
Are you talking like theater productions?
Yes, yeah, the theater productions.
Oh man, I mean, I could speak forever on all of that. I made so many friends with it and learned so much from everybody. Damn, that's actually a hard question.
Yes, I got one.
No, I loved all the shows that I did. I always loved being a part of the community and always being a part of like a cast, you know, as like a cast in a theater show, like whether it's, you know, regional or touring, or if it's just a, you know, a community, you know, theater and everything. Like, you always get so close to your cast and you always just have such a good time and everybody gets to know each other in such a great way. Man, I don't know. I've learned so much from so many different shows.
So kind of less about the actual show itself and more just about like the community and the family that you were kind of able to build through the process.
Yeah, and it was also a lot of like, every show I ever did was like a learning experience where it'd be like, you know, hey, you sing really well, but you talk way too fast. Like, you know, like all these different little things where it'd be like, hey, like, you know, your comedic delivery is on par, but you know, your movement and blocking is it has to be locked in. Like, just all those little things that I still have in my brain that repeat when I'm on stage performing. That's just like, you know, but I learned so much about myself and just about myself as an artist and performing, doing all of those shows. And I felt like I really loved doing all of them because I don't know if it was necessarily I was not necessarily like comfortable with myself and that I loved being somebody else. And I think there was definitely an aspect of that I really enjoyed, where it was like I can kind of strip away what's happening on, you know, my day-to-day basis and now take the shoes of somebody else completely, but also still speak the same kind of message that, you know, this other guy's feeling. I was always attracted to I feel like when I did theater, I was always attracted to roles that spoke to me in the moment of like whatever I was going through. Yeah.
Did you find that for you personally, that allowed you to really kind of get lost in that character when you
Oh
kind of
yeah,
found those comparisons between like the character
yeah,
that you were portraying and kind of the stuff you were going through in
yeah.
your
Oh,
personal life?
absolutely, absolutely. There was so many. I did this one show. It's called Spring Awakening, and it was
Okay.
it was a big Broadway show, and then my college did it, and I played a role that I always loved, and it was honestly kind of a depressing role. The character at the end of Act One actually offs himself.
Okay.
So it was a heavy topic and a heavy subject, but I was also I was 19, something
Mm,
like that. So like I was just like, and like I'm a dramatic guy, and I was just very in my emotions.
yeah.
And I really enjoyed playing the role. It was a lot of fun, but it also was like a very big learning experience about like what I was feeling at the time and how I felt. And yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But I feel like every role I ever played, like I always learned something about myself when I played that role.
Yeah.
But also at the end of the day, I did get to a point where I was like, I like expressing myself through this person, but like, I think I want to express myself through myself. I think I
Mm,
want to actually, I
yeah.
think I have some things to say and I want to say them.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't know how at that moment when I was doing
Okay.
theater.
So when you kind of made that transition from doing more of the theater stuff, you joined this band, you guys start doing stuff together, and you had mentioned bands like Incubus and Red Hot Chili Peppers and such, but like where were you kind of pulling your inspiration and your influence from as a songwriter when you were working with that band during that time?
Yeah, that was always the thing. I've always been a pop guy. I've always loved even when I was, a kid, I loved the Backstreet Boys. I loved all the Max Martin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the earworms. I love the ear candy. I love, the fact that a song can play and it's like mind control. It can get out of your
Yeah.
head. Like you need to just
Mm-hmm.
keep, and so I was very attached to like pop rock bands at the time when I was with the band, and we're still a band. We just don't do anything. But I loved at the time. I was listening to a lot of Nothing But Thieves and Maroon 5, and just
Okay. Yeah.
uh, both not very similar bands, but
Yeah.
I was just listening for like the ear candy. I loved the pop rock stuff. And in my band we had just the most. The band's called Night Without Cars.
Okay.
It's still on Spotify. We had some crazy moments and
Yeah.
touring.
Don't
And
be shy. Plug that shit.
it was great. Still is great. Just some really great opportunities. But we like one of the first things was like. We wrote this song, and it was in a NASCAR video game, and
Oh,
then
wow.
we had another song that was in a movie, and then literally before COVID, we played with Gavin DeGraw,
Mm.
Andy Grammer. We had a freaking sick show with Collective Soul.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and but I learned so much, about my own self during the band.
Yeah.
We had the most talented musicians in that band, and everybody kind of had their own taste in music. We all agreed like on an Incubus and stuff, but like everybody had different tastes. You had me that was more kind of like pop and stuff. My bass player loved Primus,
Mm.
also awesome.
Yeah.
My drummer was a big Blink 182 guy, and then
Okay.
my guitarist was very like Minus the Bear kind of
Oh,
prog.
yeah.
What was it? Math rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone had a different taste, and I think that's what made us unique. We all kind of brought our own thing to the table.
Yeah.
But also at the end of the day, it was a thing of like, I want to write I really want to just like write the songs I want to write. But I didn't have that ability. I couldn't play, good enough guitar. I can't play drums and stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to go and find another band at this moment.
Yeah.
But when COVID happened, we all kind of like went our separate ways to some degree.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna keep doing I'm gonna finally do my own solo thing. And I was invited to when I was with the band, I was invited to a cruise ship. There's this cruise ship production company called Six Man.
Okay.
And if anybody listening or anyone looks it up, they do all the music cruises. The Cashapp cruise, the Kiss cruise, all that stuff. They do.
New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, no, the Creed cruise that was just like on TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
And they do this cruise called the Rock Boat, and it's a bunch of different bands that I've been fortunate enough to play a couple of them and meet some of my childhood friends and heroes. Like Bowling for Soup. I love Bowling for Soup growing up.
Oh yeah.
And now I get happy birthday texts from Jared, the lead singer.
That's fucking incredible.
12-year-old Jared have been like, oh my God, blow your mind off. But I was a part of so they invited a couple of artists to be on a boat and write music.
While you were on the boat?
No, so this is cool. This is a separate boat. So they invited people that were going on this rock boat to go on a completely separate cruise.
Okay.
With a couple of artists.
Uh-huh.
They made a couple of rooms where people stay into makeshift studios. They paired these artists off, and it was write an album in 4 days and record it, and there you go.
That's crazy.
So we're thrown into a room of like 12 to 14 artists that we've never met.
Yeah.
And we get paired. We can request to be paired with, X, Y, and Z, but for the most part, we get paired with a bunch of, random people that are there.
Yeah.
And we have to write music. We just get into a room and write music. And they'll send us some food and send us some wine or whatever, and we'll write. But it's super vulnerable and also super exciting.
Yeah. And
that was the first moment where I had my own solo song that I wrote, and I had it on my phone. And then when I would be done with a session with whomever, I would say, hey, this was really fun. I wrote this song. Can you listen to it and tell me if you think it's good? And I eventually showed it to everybody that was on that boat with me. And they all were like, this is really great. You should put it out. And that just gave me the confidence to be like, all right, maybe I can do it myself. Like maybe it's there. Like, let me try.
Yeah. There's something about your peers giving you that kind of feedback that I think just hits different than, not to take away from like fans and people that are like consumers of your music giving you like compliments and stuff like that, because every single one of those is amazing and they all make you feel good. But I think there is an aspect of like, okay, you're either farther along in what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, or you have the same sensibilities when it comes to music as I do. And hearing you say, yeah, this is a kick-ass pop song, or this is whatever, I can only imagine like the boost that gives. And even like, as an independent artist and as a solo artist, it can be really isolating sometimes. So when you have those moments where you're in a group of people that are like-minded and kind of doing the same thing and kind of that collaborative thing, I'm honestly jealous. That sounds incredible.
No, man, listen, there's something to be said for that 100%, because like, when I was in high school, like, I sang in chorus and I did the plays and musicals, whatever, but like, I can't read music. I can't. I had many friends who I'm still friends with that were prodigies, that were geniuses, that would, sight read like no one's business, that would be in the, the all county, all those things, And I remember like, as a kid, I was like, well, I'm not a musician. I'm not a musician. I thought that way forever. I thought that way forever. And I generally, I think, even though I was in a band for like a long time, even when I was in the band, I was like, well, I can't play guitar. Well, I can't, I can write a melody and write some lyrics, but I'm not a musician. I can't, I'm not in that scope. Yeah. And, I honestly think it didn't take me until I started doing my project now, where I consider myself a musician. You know, I had so
Yeah.
many friends growing up that were so ridiculously talented, like genuine prodigies that could just pick up any instrument, read any sheet of music, and just blow everybody out of the water. And I always thought, oh, yeah, that's a musician. Like that's a musician. I'm not a musician. I can't read music. I'll listen
Yeah.
to a song on the radio and sing it back to you, but
Yeah.
I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I struggled with that for like a really long time, where I was like, well, no, I'm not a musician. That even goes back to when I was showing all my peers the song.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had to do that because I'm like, can you tell me I'm a musician? Can you listen to this right now and tell me that I actually am? I'm on to something right now, because I don't think I am.
Yeah.
Um,
Where
but
do you
I
think
feel
that
like,
stems from? Like that feeling of, because there's the saying like comparison is the thief of joy, which is like it's cliche. It's I think it can sometimes be overused, but I think especially in the creative fields, whether that is music or film or TV or even just like novels or prose writing or whatever, I think there can kind of be that idea. Was it something that was just stemming, because it sounds like your parents were pretty supportive of you and like the stuff that you were choosing to do. So was it, and as somebody who has had lifelong imposter syndrome, was it just kind of more on that side of things, or do you think that there was something else involved in kind of that lack of confidence for all that time?
I think through I would do the theater and the musical theater, and that would be fine. But like, I think when it came to the actual music classes and all of that through middle school and high school, I was not that guy. I was not the one that was, blowing everybody out of the water. Like, I mean, I got a solo or two, but like at the end of the day, like I always felt like, well, I can't read music, and I'm not going to the like all state fairs and getting certificates for it. So I always just kind of felt like, yeah, well, you're not a musician. You're just kind of very imposter syndrome. It's just like, yeah, you're I don't want to say not fake, just you kind of like a
you just kind of bump yourself down a few pegs when you kind of see that. Yeah, I get that, and I think that that's something that a lot of artists struggle with, especially, and I will also say this, and I don't know if this will be an encouragement to you at all, and I'm sure you've probably had conversations like this, but like I've had so many conversations with the prodigies, with the people that are like can pick up a 12-string classical guitar, having never played that before, and just go to town on it. And then we start collaborating or something, or they hear me singing and they're like, I can never do that. Like I can never, because it goes both ways.
I learned that at an obviously much older age, and there's a part of me that is kind of happy that I can read music, or that I'm not hearing something in a musical theory way, because I'm hearing it as me. I'm hearing it as what I'm listening for and what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I feel like that gives me an edge that, so I've definitely grown to love the way I operate, the way I work, the way I write, and the way I express, any music that comes in my brain, because not to sound cliche and cheesy, but it feels like authentically me, and like this is what you're gonna get,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think so. My day job is IT, so I'm a network engineer, and so much of that is black and white, ones and zeros. Like it either works this way or it doesn't work this way or whatever. And I think that something that making music and kind of being in that side of things has taught me is there isn't one path to where it is that you want to get to when it comes to being creative, right? Because let's take the example of like someone who's writing a novel. There are writers that will sit down and they will literally just start typing their book. They'll have nothing. Edge of your seat of your pants, I think, is kind of the term that is used for that, where they'll just sit down and they'll just start writing it. They just have these ideas in their head, and it may be something that they've been brainstorming or thinking about for a really long time, but they just sit down and write it. And then you've got the planners, you've got the bullet pointers, you've got the people that like need to know, like, these are the plot points that I'm going to touch before I go into it. Neither one of those is wrong. If it whatever gets you to where you want to go. And I've spoken to classically, because I'm like pseudo classically, like I'm a classically trained vocalist. Like I sang opera in college and I did all of that, but like there's an aspect, and I actually never thought about this until I just, like a year ago, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start to take some more guitar lessons just so I can kind of learn a little bit more. And my teacher said, I love the fact, because I'm not a big theory guy. Like I know concepts of it, but I can't read sheet music. It's always been by ear for me. And my guitar teacher said, I love the fact that you're not tied down to the rules of music theory, because it allows you to think outside the box, and it allows you to come up with ideas that a lot of times, even though what somebody may be doing could be correct from a technical standpoint, sometimes they're cutting themselves off to the point where they're not able to move past that and come up with something creative. Like we've talked about this. So I reacted to Honey Eye. It's the only song I've heard from you, and the reason for that is because I'm planning on reacting to more. But even in that one song, choices that you made from a lyrical perspective are things that, to me, tells me that, like, you as a songwriter are taking what you have as a vision and you're just putting it out there. Putting the king and overthinking, like, that's a rap bar. Like that, like if you,
I saw that from your video, I was like, oh my God, that's so great.
Like, cause that's something that, like, cause I make hip hop and I make a lot of different kinds of stuff, but that's something that, like, when you're writing that, punchlines and clever back to backs are something that Lil Wayne has made an entire career off of doing that. So, like, that's something that you see in hip hop and you see that in rap. I don't see that a lot in pop music. Like, I don't see those wordplay.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you to actually for you to listen to the rest of my tunes, because like that's kind of like my bread and butter. Like I love rap and I love hip hop.
Yeah.
And you saying, you know, oh, you don't see that in pop, but here it is just like the greatest thing I've ever heard, because I want that to be the case, because like I feel like the only person that did that for a hot minute was Ed Sheeran, and I don't think he really kind of does anymore, but you know, he doesn't have to. He's got a million houses. But I just love wordplay, and I love, you know, tongue-in-cheek lyrics, and you know, if you, I'll send you stuff after this that
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's just like kind of always my case, because like I'm serious about the artistry, but I'm not serious about myself. If that makes any sense. Like I don't
absolutely.
I take the music seriously and I take like the artistry seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. Yeah. So I always hope that kind of shines through with the music. Like I'm always, I don't know. Like I'm a self-proclaimed funny guy. Like, I mean, I like to make jokes. I like to be witty. I like to, you know, make people laugh. But I also love to sing. And I love
every theater kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Case closed. There we go. That's it. Nailed it. It's exactly it. I just like to. I like to entertain people and I like to make them laugh, but I also like to, you know, do my own thing and make music and everything. So I got a couple of songs I'm looking forward to showing you that are very same tongue in cheek, just lyrically, just like okay.
I love that. So I want to kind of get into the nitty gritty of like you as a solo artist now and like your process. So I always find it fascinating talking to other artists about what their process is when they're writing a song, when they decide to sit down and actually start creating something. For you, what does that look like? Is it a lyric that pops into your head? Is it a melody? Do you actually set time aside and sit down and say, I'm going to work on writing a song tonight? What is your creative process like?
For starters, I feel like anytime I hear something that sounds like it could be a bumper sticker or something, I write it in my notepad. I'm like, that's a good topic for a song, or that feels like a good lyric. I feel like my creative process, honestly, is taking in my environment and hearing things that people say and thinking that might be clever. That's a good lyric. That's the kind of thing. And then that note in my notepad just builds up and builds up and builds up. And then it sits there until a day comes where like my emotions are just too strong and I want to blow up. And the only thing I can do is like, write a song about it. And then I will go into my notepad and go, what matches what I'm doing and feeling right now.
Interesting.
And then that's what I'll kind of attach to. It also varies too. Like, I think it was like Stephen King. I don't know. I might be completely butchering this. That said, like, you have to, you can't wait for inspiration to hit you. You have to sit down and do the work every day, and then, but I'm also like a pretty religious guy, and I feel like, you can. I forget what artist said it. It might have been John Mayer or something, but I love the term he said. He was like, you can just start playing the guitar and be like, all right, yeah, cool. But if you're not Ouija boarding, the melody and the lyrics and stuff, like then, and so I feel like there's a lot of that where it's like, I can show up, but if heaven and God is not talking through me, like, I'm just the instrument. Like, I'm ready to, give me the inspiration, give me like, put it through me, because there are days where you could be in a session or writing or whatever. And you're just sitting there looking at your computer like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
And then there are other days where like, it literally feels like someone's speaking through you, where it just comes out so fast and so quick and so perfect, where you're like, how did this happen?
Why can't it be this way every time?
Exactly. If it was that way every time, then we'd have a billion hits every day, and everyone would do it. But
for sure. Does it make you appreciate those days more? Does it when you're in a slump, or when you're trying to come up with something and you're just kind of hitting a wall or whatever? Because I deal with that all the time. My creative process is the biggest roller coaster, where I will go sometimes weeks without doing anything, and then I'll sit down and write 3 songs in one night. What is that like for you, as far as like the satisfaction that comes with that, the grace that you give yourself to be like, you know what, if I don't really feel like I'm going to write something right now, I'm not going to do that. Do you find that balance difficult to achieve, or is that something that you've kind of settled into a good flow with?
Yeah, I think I'm in a good flow. I'm not really hard on myself if like I start writing something and like, I'll start writing and be like, this is so great idea. And I'll start doing it and then be like, and then I'll hear it back a couple times and I'll be like, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. All right, whatever. I'm not too hard on myself about that. I feel like it's very much like, what's that analogy? It's like, you turn on a sink and you let all the, you even turned on in a hot minute, and then all the dirty water, you have to let all the dirty water come out until the clean water comes out. So I always kind of attest to it in that capacity, where it's like, all right, this wasn't great, but like, you know what, that had to leave my brain, that had to be on the computer, that had to be like, lyrically written out, so that I feel like, I can do the next thing. I think it's just a matter of just, it's doodling. It's just like, I'm gonna try this idea.
Word doodling. I love that.
Exactly. It's just doodling. It's throwing things at the wall. I have so many sessions on my laptop that are just absolute bullshit. Me going like, maybe I'm gonna try like kind of like a almost like a rap thing where I'm kind of like, worrying out. Maybe I'm going to try like an R&B thing. Maybe I'm going to go like full mariachi on this one. Like,
Yeah.
it's always experimentation. It's always
Uh-huh.
just like, I don't know if you never necessarily find your voice. I feel like you find what size fits you during that time. Because if you think about a bunch of artists, and
Interesting. Yeah.
it's like how it's like, oh, I have this record, right? And then they put out another record a couple years later, and it's like, well, that doesn't sound like the last one. Like, I'm not, but that's because they had to evolve. They had to learn, they had to engage, they had to feel like what feels right for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, there's definitely a bunch of artists that, there's always an underlining tone of like, well, that's that person. That's always that person.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily feel like any artist has an absolute exact continuum of, day one to day, 1000.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get to the end of it if you don't evolve, if you don't try new things, if you don't experiment.
Yeah.
So like I've been thinking about that a lot lately, where it's like I thought like I put out an album in last summer, and I put a couple of tunes since then, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really finding my sound. But like now I'm kind of getting to this, I had this like weird thing I was thinking about this morning where I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to find my sound. Like maybe it's not mine to have. Like maybe it's like it's always a one size fits all at the moment. Like these pants look great on me right now and they feel great and people are complimenting me. But 4 years from now, if I wore those pants again, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Like,
you're still rocking bell bottoms? What?"
Yeah, exactly. Pants.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's all about the music that feels good in the moment. I mean, obviously, if you can write a song and put out a song that lasts for generations and generations, then you got nothing to worry about. But
I totally agree with you, and I started when I got back. So I toured and played in bands when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and then I kind of took some time off and came back around 2019. And when I came back to like my first love, which was hip hop. Like the first album I ever owned was Illmatic from Nas. So like there's there and then like DMX was shortly after, and then like there was hip hop was such a love of mine, and I had been in bands for so long, and I was like, I need something that I can do on my own, which anybody can hop online and find a beat and just start rapping to it. And so that's kind of what I was doing. But then as I started making music after a while, I was like, I kind of want to make a metal record. I kind of want to make a pop punk record. Like I'm really vibing with like Knuckle Puck and the Wonder Years right now. So like I kind of want to make something that's in that vein. Or I'm listening to, like, I put an album out in 2021 called Broken Complete, which is like straight up like a metal pop punk record. And at the time I was listening to so much Beartooth and Caleb Shomo's combination of his clean vocals and then his screams and stuff. I was like, that's so like fucking cool and versatile, like to be able to do that. And so I've found myself over the years, people told me in the beginning, and I'm sure you've probably gotten this either when you were in your band or as a solo artist, or maybe even in theater, but like people have told me, find a lane and stick to it. And yeah. And I kind of just said, fuck lanes. This is the Autobahn. Yes, and so I've put out so many different, like right now I'm working on a 12-track indie folk album that would like be with Bon Iver and Sufjan Stevens. So like there's it's just, I love your comparison of like it's the pants I'm wearing right now, because that's what it feels like. Like I'm working on this album, and then after this album I have a track that is like a Hanunam Kind, the Big Dog song that was like all over TikTok. It's like that vibe. It's like there's like crazy 808s and like just, and it's just this like hard hip hop song, and I have a chopper on it with me, my buddy Sinner, who is like just raps so fast. And it's so fucking different from the project I'm working on now. But like And I had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, do you release all of this under Architect the Dreamer? And I was like, yeah, because this is who I am. Like, I'm not gonna like put it out under different projects because it's all me that's making it. And while I have only heard the one song from you, it sounds like you kind of have that same mentality of like, whatever I feel like making right now, that's what I'm going to make right now. And it keeps things on. It keeps things honest. It keeps it authentic.
For sure. I'm so excited for you to hear the record because I generally pride myself in the fact that like it's one of those albums where I'm like, you might not like the whole album, but there's something in there for everybody. I guarantee there's a pop punk kind of song, there's a heavy song, there's an acoustic sad song, there's a bebop kind of day glow song, there's the yacht rock song, there's I mean there's so much in there that's just like very much me and just like how I was feeling at the time and I love that about artistry, and I love that about music, that you know it's not a one size fits all. It's what you're feeling in the moment. And listen, if I'm writing for another artist, if I'm writing for, you know, or syncing sync deals or whatever, you know, briefs and whatever, like it's different. It's you're you know you're in service of that, and that can almost be more freeing in its own way because you're not thinking to yourself, you know, is this right for me? Is this the kind of vibe I want to get out? But I mean, I mean, for me, it's the only way that I can really fully express myself and feel good. And it's also a learning thing. It's also like at the end of a song when I'm done, I'm like, I really like learn something about myself. I'm like, oh, like that. Okay, that's how I felt. Like, oh, I didn't know that thing that happened was so heavy to me, where it made me feel like I needed to put it in a song and write about it and everything.
Yeah.
And then the opposite. There are other times where it's like, you know, oh, I'm feeling so heavy about this, I better write a song about it. And then I write a song and I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like getting done with a record or a single or whatever, and it's done, it's mixed, it's mastered, it's produced, it's everything, and then you go listen to it and you're like, how I fucking made that? Like have you ever like had that experience where you've listened to something that you've made and been like, for me, there's times where I'm like, I don't remember half of that process. So like when I'm listening to it back as a finished product, I'm like, I fucking made that. And like both like a little bit of surprise and the imposter side of things, but then also like a proud thing of like, no, I made that. Like, have you ever had those moments with anything that you've made?
I definitely had the proud moments. I'm such a neurotic dick that I'm like, I know every bell and whistle that's happening where it's like, no, I'll make that lower. So like, it's a little bit the opposite where when I hear it, like, I mean, anytime I release a song, before it's out, I've heard it 9 billion times.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, where it's just like, all right. And then when it's out, I'll listen to it like once or twice on Spotify to be like, did it come out okay? Is this what I want everyone to hear?
Yeah.
And I hear it and I'm like, all right, this is great. But I actually hate when it's out. I'm very much like, you know, not to sound like the, you know, cliche, you know, artist, but like I generally am like, when it's out, it's not mine anymore. Now it's somebody else's. Now, you know, if somebody hears it that's in high school, it's having a tough time, and they really resonate with it when they're going through a breakup, or I don't know, whatever you're going through, and you listen to it and you resonate with it. Now it's theirs. Now it's yours. It's not mine anymore.
Yeah.
So I still have that feeling of like, oh, it's my baby, but it's my baby out in the world. They're grown up. They went to college. They have a job. They have a job and a family now. It's like I can't really say anything about it. Like, let them live their own life.
For sure.
So, but when that happens, I do feel that sense of like pride. Like, I'm very happy how it came out, and I'm like, all right, I'm really glad how this turned out. I feel like I said what I had to say, and if it resonates with people, that's great. Because like when I first started this project, I had no intentions. I literally just put it out for fun. I literally was just like, I just have some songs I really want to get out. If 7 people hear it, great. If 7,000, awesome. If
Yeah.
700,000, even better.
Yeah.
So I just did it just for my own sake, because I feel like that's what, I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like a lot of artists, like, you write for yourself, you write for you to feel whatever you're trying to feel, and learn it and extend it, and really like get an understanding of what you're going through, and get it out of your system.
Yeah. I mean, I use music for therapy all the time as just and not necessarily always therapy in like a negative way, but just as like it's very therapeutic to be able to like get something that's in your head and turn it into this physical thing that is now a physical representation of whatever it was that was in your head.
100%. And it's the most intimate thing I think, we're capable of. Like, I like if I can feel a certain way and go, oh, fuck, I gotta get this out, and I gotta express it in a specific way, and I put it out, and then I'm in New York, and if somebody in Minnesota, wherever, goes, oh shit, me too, like fuck, like that's that's insane. Like, that's just the most intimate, most like rewarding. Like, forget validation of like, oh, is my song good? You like my song? That means I'm good. All right, great.
Yeah.
Skip all of that, and the fact that you can feel something and express it, and somebody understands it without you having to spell it out. Is just such a. It's the most rewarding, like, most fulfilling feeling I've ever encountered, and honestly will ever encounter in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about it from the perspective of like, as a listener, so like growing up and listening to music and putting shit on your skipless CD Walkman and putting your headphones on and just listening to stuff, like, some of the most introspective, vulnerable moments of my childhood were in my room with those headphones on, listening to that music and just like dissecting those words and like accepting them and hearing them. And then when you think about it, like, as an artist on the other end, where because I'm sure you've gotten this as well, but like I'll get comments from time to time that's like, I sat in my car on my lunch break today and I listened to this song on repeat for an hour and just cried because it's exactly how I felt and I didn't know how to say it. Like, I don't know that person, right? Like, I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what their daily struggle is. I don't know what their past is or anything like that. But it's still such an incredibly, as you said, which is perfect, such an incredibly intimate moment where like you're having such a profound effect on somebody else simply because you followed your heart and decided you were going to create something. Yeah. And I think that is something that, in a world that is so fucking capitalistic and so like money, I want this now, I want this now, I want this now. What have you done for me lately? That kind of a thing. I think that's why I love the arts so much, and that in music and film and TV and all of that, is because it's the same thing watching a TV show and relating to a character. You're relating to that character because that actor is putting themselves into that character and is taking care of that and delivering that specific performance. And I don't think there's anything else on the planet that's like that.
No, I agree. I had a great moment like years ago when I was with my band. I wrote a Christmas song, and we put it out as a band, and then eventually the band was like, this really is like not our vibe, so like let's take it off of the band's discography and just put on your own. And I did. And then and I had someone message me that was like, hey, what are the chords? Like, can you send me the lyrics, whatever? And I was like, all right, yeah, so send that. At the time, this is when like Facebook videos were like going off. And we made a video on Facebook, and it got like, I don't know, like 3 million hits, and it was it was great.
Yeah,
this is years ago too. Yeah. And
before the algorithms all got fucked.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Before TikTok, honestly, I mean, Instagram was still a thing, but it was like you were still using, XX Pro and Valencia to look tan.
Oh yeah.
But so we put that out. I put that out, and I had a message that was like, "Hey, can you send me the chords and send me the lyrics?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, whatever." Sent to them, and I got a video around December, and it was of this girl who, for her senior recital in high school, she sang the song with a piano.
Oh, wow.
In an auditorium of the high school auditorium. And I mean, right now it's like, to this day, like, I mean, hopefully I get to a point where everyone's singing my songs, but like, that was just so, to this day, like, so profound to me, because it was like, wow, I felt these things and I wrote this. Like, for me personally, I was like, this feels shitty. I don't really know how to play piano.
Yeah.
I ended up, I had my buddy Matt play piano on it, but she recorded this video, and it was like, and that was a moment for her. Like, that was like such a highlight. I'm sure at the time, she might be on to better things, but at the time, that's like a big deal for, a high schooler. Like, you're singing a song completely solo to a piano, to an auditorium of people,
Yeah.
and affecting them. And they're, and that just blew my mind. Like, I still think there's this day where I'm just like, one of my proudest like moments where I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, I made this song like in my parents' fucking dining room on my laptop and put it out. And then now, like, an auditorium of people heard it, and this girl sang it, and it probably felt amazing because it's a giant auditorium of people in high school, and you're a junior or a senior, wherever she was.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments where I was just like, fuck, all right, I think I'm doing something right. Like, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I had a similar moment to that. I had a few years ago, I put out a song called "Heels Over Head," which is like a ballady love song, and it kind of took off on TikTok and ended up getting like several thousand people that were using the sound for it, and were just kind of pairing it with like making these like lovey-dovey videos or whatever. And I ended up having probably 3 or 4 different couples message me and say, "Hey, we want this to be our first dance at our wedding." And like, dude, even to this day, and like, it's one thing for people to say that. It's another thing for after the wedding getting sent in a video on Instagram of them dancing to a song that I made in my 1-bedroom apartment.
How great is that?
It's so fulfilling, and it's one of those things, and I've talked about this before, where like, I think a lot of times us as artists, we can look at the numbers and we can be like, oh man, it's not getting this views, or it's not getting this amount of streams, or whatever, and it can be really disheartening. You release a song and it doesn't get the streams that you want and all this kind of stuff. But then I look at it and like, I think about my TikTok, right? Like, I've got X amount of followers on my TikTok. And then I look at someone else who has 10 times that. But then when I look at the amount of followers that I'm like, if I put this amount of people, I could fill the big house in Ann Arbor with the amount of people that are following me. If I looked at that many people, I would like pass out from a panic attack knowing that this amount of people followed me. And then when you bring that down even to the microscope level of the recital of this girl singing your song, or like someone dancing to one of mine at a wedding, it's like that is a moment that is cemented in time forever, regardless of whatever else happens with our careers. If we take off, if we become huge, or if we just kind of stay independent or small, it doesn't matter. Something that you created had a profound effect on that girl's life. Something that I created had this profound effect on to the point where like they're wanting to use it on, for most people, the most special day of their life. It's so humbling, and it's so just like it's just wild to think that like something that was in your head is now, it's like, I sung Chariot by Gavin DeGraw when I was in high school for a talent show, and it's literally like, now we're on that other end, right? Like, I sang Chariot from Gavin DeGraw, and he'll never know that I did that, but like, I already know, because you hear interviews with other artists and big artists all the time where like they finally get wind of like a performance that happened or something like that, and just like what it means to them. And it's so strange to be on the opposite end of that now as like the person creating the thing that is being sung and that's being performed. But
yeah, dude, I 100% agree. 100% agree. I can tell you too, as somebody who's open for Gavin DeGraw and has met the guy and stuff. Like,
I've heard he's just the sweetest guy.
No, he's like generally like a very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
At the time when we opened for him, I found out he has a very close relationship with his dad. At the time, my dad was like very sick and he was going through like a bunch of surgeries and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I found out it was happening as I was on the road. So I was like, shit, I have to get back to New York because, my dad's sick. Mm-hmm. But, my mom was texting me at the time, like, no, just do your thing. Like he's going to be fine. And I talked to Gavin about that. I was like, hey, like my dad's like sick and I want him to be here and stuff. But I know you're close to your dad and all that stuff. And he was like so supportive and just so sweet and just like,
yeah,
he's definitely that guy that like, just like,
yeah.
All the nice stories about him are very true.
I had a similar, are you familiar with or a fan of Secondhand Serenade at all from back in the day? Okay.
Of course.
So I opened for Secondhand Serenade in 2012, 2013, which was actually, it was the first. So he's now married to Veronica Balestrini, I think is her name. And then they did a side project that was like a country duo and then ended up getting married. So this is like the first tour that those two went on, which I'm assuming that's where they fell in love. But I remember being back in a green room and because John Vesely, who is Secondhand Serenade, he was the soundtrack of most of our emo like childhoods. Between that and Dashboard Confessional, like I had so much over dramatic moments in high school where I blew things out of proportion while listening to that. But all of his stuff is pretty stripped back. It's very like, it's just kind of acoustic guitar in him with maybe some little stuff in there. And I remember like I was so fucking nervous to open for him because this is a guy that like I've listened to religiously, and being in the green room back there and like I was sitting with my guitar and I was like playing through things and I was fucking it up and I was like practicing and like trying to just kind of like whatever. And he was just like, you got this, dude. You got this. This is no different than any other show that you've played. Yeah. You're going to go out there and you're going to crush it. And that was the only interaction I had with him. It was very short. It wasn't like anything major.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. It's all you need. And it's so cool when like they say don't meet your heroes. And I think there's a lot of times where like that is the case. And a lot of times people are really shitty. But when you have those moments where you do meet somebody that you listen to or that you admire and appreciate, and they end up being a good fucking person along with like having their music, it's such a cool thing. But I want to switch gears a little bit because obviously we're musicians. We've been talking about that a lot, but what are some things that you like to do outside of music that are either hobbies or like things that you're super passionate about?
Oh man. We talked a bit before we recorded. I love comic books.
I
love movies. I play a lot of video games.
No shit, me too. My PS5 is right over here. Yeah.
No, I'm. I don't know. I guess I'm passionate about things that I can express myself through that aren't just music.
Yeah.
But I love experiencing art. I love experiencing all types of art, whether it's other bands, whether it's fucking paintings, whether it's, a TV show, a movie, a short film, if it's a video game, if it's a fucking blog post, to be honest, if it's a book. I love to read. I read a lot. And then I love comic books as well. So I'm a huge nerd. I love all things nerdy. I'm always caught up on what's happening. I didn't pre-order the Switch 2. I think it's too expensive.
Agreed.
I'm not paying $80 for a Mario Kart game, but I probably will. I probably will at some point, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I love to read. I'm a big Shakespeare nerd.
Very nice.
Yeah, I just love anything that affects me, anything that and sometimes it's things I don't expect it to. Like I just saw the new Mission Impossible movie, and
I love that series so much.
Dude, I've not seen a lot of. I've only seen a couple of them.
Okay.
And I just went to see the new one, and I was so blown away.
Yeah.
But I also had a giant panic attack with the entire thing. I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I went with my buddies, and they were laughing their asses off. I think I was more entertaining than the movie itself because I was on the edge of my seat, just going like, "No, you can't! No, what the fuck? Oh god!" And there was even a point where I was like, "I think I have to go to the bathroom and like splash some water in my face and like." Get back into it because I was so fucking stressed out during the whole movie.
Yeah.
But in particular, I was just like, wow, what a great experience. Like, oh my God, like I haven't seen anything that's done that to me. And I don't think I ever so like, I love things like that. I love experiencing different art and different capacities that just like really move me. And then also eventually, inspire me to maybe, go against the grain or maybe write something that I normally wouldn't write or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
So I love all those things. I was a very big World of Warcraft player for a long time.
Very nice.
I'll admit it. I'll say it. Occasionally I treat myself every, winter and get 1 month just to be like, just jump back and be like, what's new here?
Yeah. Get that nostalgic bump.
That's very nostalgic. If anything, it's just a nostalgia bump. Yeah. But I love all of that.
So, like, what are some of? Let's talk comics for a second. What are some of your favorite comics, as far as I guess we'll say types of comics, so kind of like genre, because I think a lot of people hear comics and they just think Marvel, DC, and that's not at all the case. There's so much beyond superhero comics, but what are your favorite like superhero comics, and what are some of your favorite comics that are not that?
Comics that are not that, I love Brian O'Malley. I love Scott Pilgrim. I love all of his stuff. Seconds, like all of his stuff. I resonated so much with all of his books. I mean, especially Scott Pilgrim. Even before the movie was happening. I just loved that so much. I think it just like encapsulated like everything I want to do. My last record, my only album, my full album, is called the Mixed Emotions Arcade.
Okay.
Because I felt like the whole record is a bunch of different songs, kind of in different genres, and I wanted to feel like when you walk into an arcade and there's lots of different options. You have your Street Fighter, you have your Asteroids, you have Pac-Man, whatever you're going for.
Yeah.
But
it's all in one place.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted it to feel like. So I love Scott Pilgrim, love all of his Brian O'Malley stuff. I'm a giant Batman dork.
Hell yeah.
Every single thing. I just finally caught up with all the Absolute Batman, the new Batman iteration. It's just so good.
Yeah. And Scott Snyder's writing that, right? Who's writing that?
No, I don't think it's Scott Snyder. But I love the Scott Snyder stuff. I love
the Snyder Capullo run is goated.
Oh my god! So the Court of Owls stuff is unbelievable.
Who is right now? I need to know who's writing Absolute Batman.
Yeah, you have to Google that. But that was Absolute Batman's so great because it's funny. It's very similar to when an artist.
It is Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder, and Nick Dracata is the artist on that. But
well, it's so different. It's
very different. Yeah.
But what's so great and I love about it is like it's just like an artist where it's like I'm going to make a second record now, and it's not going to sound anything like the first, but there'll be some similarities, and that's exactly what it feels like, because it's like it's so different. Like it was just his dad that was killed, his mom's still alive. Like he's just like, there's so much going on in there where it's just like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I love that. I love, like I said before, I'm like a big Shakespeare nerd, and I love when the thing I love about Shakespeare is like it's the same text, the same context, but it could be a completely different vibe, different actors, different everything. Maybe Hamlet takes place in 2025. Maybe it takes place in the future on a fucking spaceship. Like who knows?
Yeah.
But that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of Batman about that, because there's been so many iterations of Batman. You have the animated series, you have the Tim Burton films, you have the Christian Bale. Oh my God, what the hell's the director's name? Oh my God.
Christopher Nolan
movies. And then you have the Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson movie. You
got the Batfleck.
You have Batfleck, who I loved, and I will die on that hill. I don't care.
Same.
Because it's very much the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Batman, which is my favorite iteration of Batman ever. Yeah. And I think maybe that's what I love about Batman, is that there's so many different iterations and so many different versions of different artists and different writers, opinions on, like, I think it should be like this, I think it should be like that. And I love that about that. And obviously there's a bunch of that with different superheroes. I feel like Frank Miller did a lot of that with like Daredevil and everything. But I love all of that. I love the Marvel movies. Not recently, but Thunderbolts was really good.
Thunderbolts was phenomenal. Great.
Yeah. I saw Thunderbolts with my buddy, and when it was done, I turned to him and I was like, "Are we back?" I think we're back. So I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four, and Doomsday, and all that stuff. I am on the team of like thinking RDJ as Doctor Doom is dope. I'm like, sweet. Let's see.
It's literally Invincible Iron Man. Like that's I think that's the direction that they're probably going to end up kind of taking it. Yeah.
Also, speaking of Invincible, love Robert Kirkman.
Oh, dude, love Walking Dead. Invincible, Thick as Thieves.
Thick as Thieves is so damn good. I just binge. I got all the Invincible compendiums.
Very nice.
I just blew through all of them.
Yeah.
So now I'm very caught up, and the Amazon show is very behind on what I'm on.
Yeah.
But loved that. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, the actor. He's my favorite actor. He's so damn.
You're gonna have to listen to the first episode of Between the Lines, because there's actually a Jeffrey Dean Morgan story in that.
Oh
episode.
My God, I'm so excited!
Yes.
Amazing. Big fan.
I have been such a huge fan going back to Supernatural and Watchmen, and then going into The Walking Dead.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Him as the comedian was like, it was just like, I kind of think this guy's cool, but he's also such a piece of shit. Like,
that's the point. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
I love the Zack Snyder Watch movie. I think it's so good. Did you ever see the Watchmen Max show?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I watched the first like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I need to finish it.
It's really good. I thought it was fantastic.
And then they came out with an animated 2-part DC. That's good.
I haven't watched that yet, but
I really enjoyed it.
It's on my queue to watch. But yeah, all those. I mean, V for Vendetta, Astro City.
Oh yeah.
Just all of those are just all on my list that I love so dearly. I'm looking forward to the new Superman movie so hard.
Yes.
Love James Gunn. He can do no wrong, in my opinion.
Getting a comic book accurate Mr. Terrific is something that I'm so excited for, because we got Mr. Terrific on like Arrow in the Arrowverse for a short period of time, and like Legends of Tomorrow, and it was actually a pretty decent iteration of Mr. Terrific, but I don't remember the actor's name who's playing him in the movie, but he literally looks like you ripped him from the comics and was like, this is who this is.
No, it's sick, dude.
I never thought we'd get Guy Gardner in live action.
I was like, oh man, like we're not going with like Jon Stewart or any of them.
Oh, we're still getting that. That's going to be an HBO series. Yeah, we're getting Green Lanterns. It's Kyle, what's his face, the coach from Friday Night Lights. He's playing Hal Jordan. And then I don't remember the other guy's name, but there's another guy who's playing, he's the guy who has like the piercing blue eyes. He's playing Jon Stewart.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I will not Google it right now. But, oh man, yes, that's so sick. Oh man, that's so great. Yeah. What was the other James Gunn that was really good on Max? Creature Commandos? Is that what it was called?
Yes, the animated series. Yeah.
So good. Good. That was so damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I can talk about
I love James Gunn. I love James Gunn.
Ever since Scooby-Doo, dude, he's been killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see Brightburn?
Yes. Oh my.
Like the evil Superman.
Yes.
Horror movie.
Yes.
That stuff's so good. But okay, video games. What's your like go to for video games? What are you currently playing, and what are some of your favorites?
I'm currently playing on my Switch a game called Fantasy Life I. I've never played the Fantasy Life games, but it's basically Zelda meets Animal Crossing, which
interesting
ticks off all the boxes for me.
Yeah.
I just love games that I can really sink myself into for hours and hours and hours. If you're like a narrative game that lasts for 12 hours, that's cool. I'll probably play it. I'll play everything.
Yeah.
But I really love the RPGs where it's like, hey, if you buy this game, this is going to be like at least 80 hours of your life. So like, Tears of the Kingdom and like all those. I love all the Elder Scroll games. I love my favorite game of all time is Kingdom Hearts. I am that guy. I love Kingdom Hearts so much.
How do you feel about the Star Wars world getting brought into Kingdom Hearts 4?
I mean, I think it's great. I think it's just like, I love, we all, if you love Kingdom Hearts, you waited so long for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly that I was on tour for 4 months, and I was on tour during the time that Kingdom Hearts 3 dropped, and I had pre-ordered it years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living at my parents at the time, and my mother texted me, before a show and was like, "Hey, your game came and everything." And I came back from tour exhausted, and it was like sitting right there, and I was like, "Let's go." And I blew through it, and I was like, "This was really good, but like not as great as the second one." And I wasn't unhappy.
Yeah,
but I wasn't like taken back. Like, wow, what a memory.
Do you think the gap was too big that the expectations ended up being too high?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot to offer in that game, and it was really great. But at the same time, it was like you waited almost 15 years for this to come out. Like, I expected like a stupid amount of content, a stupid amount of things to do in this game.
Yeah.
I expected to literally be playing that game. I guess it came out like 2018 or something like that. I expected to be playing that game to now. Like, I imagine like, so yeah, I mean, this fourth one, hopefully it's awesome and worth the wait and everything. Yeah. It probably won't come out until I have grandchildren like the other ones do, but I love those games. I love Oblivion and
the remaster's so good.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny. So it's good. Like Skyrim was the first game I played Elder Scrolls wise. So I never played Oblivion. So and I remember I heard rumors about the remaster coming out. So I was like, I'll wait till that happens. And then it came out last month, and I've been playing that a lot.
Yeah.
I hop in and out of Warzone, Call of Duty.
Okay. I'm pretty much just a zombie guy. I don't really play like
Left 4
PvP
Dead?
or anything like that. No, well, no, like in Call of Duty, I play Call of Duty
Oh,
Zombies a lot. But
I love Left 4 Dead.
yeah.
That was
Have you
my
ever played
favorite.
7 Days to Die? Have you played that at all?
I have not.
So I think you would enjoy it if you like the kind of games that you just mentioned. 7 Days to Die to me feels like if you took The Walking Dead and you put elements of Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley together into a game. Visually, it's more like realistic, but there's building, there's surviving, there's harvesting, there's planting, and all sorts of stuff. And
I love that.
And the concept of it is basically every 7 days there's a blood moon where wherever you are, your base gets attacked by a huge horde and you have to fight them off. But the rest of the time is, I was talking to somebody where like The Walking Dead, the show or the comic or whatever, you generally see the eventful things that are happening, but you don't often see the stuff happening in between when they're building the bases, when they're going out and they're doing the hunting and they're doing all that stuff. Yeah. 7 Days to Die is like you get to do that stuff. And so you get to kind of do the in between, but there's still a lot of action. There's a lot of killing zombies and fighting hordes and jump scares and all sorts of stuff.
I gotta grab that. That sounds really fun. But I was playing Astro Boy for
Astrobot, yeah. Such a fun platformer.
Such a good platformer. And I was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
I have not played that, but I've heard that that's like basically kind of like a Elder Scrolls Dragon's Age, but without the magic. Like it's more realistic.
It's without the magic, and it's a lot more Survivor stuff. Like you have to eat, you have to sleep, otherwise everything gets fucked up. Like, oh man, I really sunk a lot of time into that one.
I need to get that one still.
And then I was playing. 'Cause I'm a big anime nerd.
Yeah.
But also I love Dragon Ball Z more than anything.
Dude, I have a Dragon Ball Z poster behind me.
Oh yeah, oh man. I played the shit out of Sparking Zero, which was basically like the Tenkaichi game I literally grew up on. I loved so much. Yeah. And I played the shit out of that game, and then it kind of fell off, and like they're not doing great with like DLCs. Like they're not like like Dragon Ball Daima was out. I don't know if you watched that.
So I've watched Dragon Ball, I've watched Dragon Ball Z, and I've watched Dragon Ball Super, but I have not watched Dragon Ball Daima yet. But I've heard really good things about it.
Dude, it's so good because it's like, if you're like a fan and like, there's so much that happens in Daima that like you've always wanted Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super to happen. Like, different transformations and different things they talk about, and it was also Akira Toriyama, the creator's last thing he did.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, because he passed away not that long ago, right? It was maybe a couple months ago.
That was honestly like low key, like one of the first celebrities die all the time. People are like, oh fuck, that has such an impact on me. That was literally one of the first celebrities where I was like, fuck, I need a minute. Like I'm
he created our childhood.
Yeah, I remember vividly, like, get home from school, 5:30, Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, and then I go back to school the next day.
Yeah,
talk to my two friends that watched it, and
I was really into like actual like drawing and art when I was a kid, and I remember like coming home and literally asking my parents to print off images of Vegeta and Goku, and Trunks is my favorite character.
Yes. Me too.
Really? I don't find a whole lot of Trunks people.
Dude, Trunks, he had the most badass entrance in anime history.
Yes.
And then he was just like, Vegeta's badass, but like Trunks was like all the best parts of Vegeta, but also like all the best parts of Gohan, and just like he was the kitty's titties.
Yeah, I love Trunks, but I would just draw. I would just like I'd ask my parents to print off the images of this, and I would just like draw those characters. We talked a little bit before we were recording that like I love anime, but I'm not nearly like as educated or well versed in it as some of the other things that I enjoy. So as somebody who loves anime, both for myself and for anybody that's watching or listening, what are some kind of like go-tos that either you think are like must-watch classics or just things that you personally love that you think people should check out?
I'm so excited. I swear by Death Note.
Okay.
Like if you never watched anime or anything, I've gotten my mother to watch Death Note, and I've got my girlfriend to watch Death Note, and that's saying a lot.
Okay.
Because my girlfriend is a very chic, fashionista. She's a doctor.
Okay, yeah.
She's not going to watch anime.
Yeah.
but we watched Death Note, and it got to the point where she was like, I was like, all right, it's time for bed. And she was like, oh, no, I got to know what happens. Like, go to the next one. Yeah. I was like, oh, yes, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But my favorites, I mean, the classics. You have to watch Death Note. Uh-huh. You have to watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, it's so good. So please tell me you're on the side of like you prefer Brotherhood over yes. Just the right. I
watched the first one yes. when I was in high school, so I watched that and I loved it.
Yes.
Because I didn't read the manga, so I was mm-hmm. like, all right, this is all I know.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and then I read the manga, and then Brotherhood came out, and I was like, oh, this is really
so much more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. Really
good. So good.
So I would definitely say that. I would say the cliche Attack on Titan.
Yeah. Yeah. I've watched the first season of that. I've not watched all of it, but I really enjoyed the first season.
It's just a masterpiece. There's an anime called Erased that's really, really good.
I've heard of that. I've heard good things about it.
Really good. My favorite anime, and I'll die on this hill, is Mob Psycho 100, it's called. I've heard of it. Have you heard of One Punch Man?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same creator. Same.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But the story, the art, the animation, like everything about it is just so unique. But like it's not that kind of like it's unique. It's not so weird where you're just like, what the fuck? Like it's weird enough where you're like, wow, this is interesting. Yeah. And then the story is what really hooks you, where it's very human and it's very like, wow, I really relate to this. Like, I mean, for me personally, like, I was just like, wow, I really relate to this. This is really great. That's like above all, just like you have to watch that. And now I've just been watching like, I don't know, like I watch a lot of shonen. So like I watch there's one called Windbreaker that I'm really into right now. I just watched like the last two, like literally before this call. There's a couple. I'm trying to get into. I want to watch like more, but like I'm so specific with my taste.
Have you seen Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix?
I did. Yes, it's very good. Oh. I thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good.
I did not expect to cry watching that, and I bawled.
Yeah, dude, that was one of those first, like, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, oh, it's on Netflix. And I was like, it's a Netflix anime? I'm like, is that going to be?
They've been stepping it up, though, dude. Castlevania is phenomenal. Edge Runners is phenomenal.
I just started Castlevania. I'm
so good.
Excuse me. Castlevania is really great. I just watched Dan to Dan, it's called.
Okay. Haven't heard of that one.
That's also really damn good. I've watched all the other ones that people have watched. I've watched Tokyo Ghoul, which is really great. Obviously all the Dragon Ball Z, Super, all the classics, Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin,
Naruto.
Of course, Naruto.
Okay. I Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorites.
Ghost in the Shell.
And it's so, I've tried to get people to watch it, like the original Ghost in the Shell, because the original Ghost in the Shell is so trippy. It's like, it's very, and the same thing with Akira. Like Akira is very like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with that, but I'm a big one.
To get people to watch.
It is. But I love cyberpunk so much, like the genre of cyberpunk, that like Ghost in the Shell is just right there for me. I'm a big One Piece guy. I love One Piece.
Bro, okay, so here's the thing. This is a great conversation now. I started watching One Piece, and during
the anime,
COVID,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
During COVID, I watched Naruto.
Okay.
And I went on Reddit and I was like, what are the filler episodes? Like, I'm gonna skip the filler. Sorry, I skipped the filler because it was like 800 episodes, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Skip the filler. Loved Naruto to death.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a position where I'm like, I want to watch One Piece, and I think I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 5 arcs in.
Okay.
But I'm still like, I see on TikTok like the newest stuff, and I'm like, that looks awesome. I'm a million miles away from that.
Yeah.
And
you're still in the 90s, early 2000s for.
I'm still in SD. Like,
okay, yeah.
I'm still at the point where the show does not take up my entire screen. It's just
it's still 4:3.
Yeah, it's still 4:3, exactly. So I'm like, but I'm so intimidated by it, and I'm like, but I've so many friends.
It's a tough one.
You need to watch. So I'm trying. I'm getting through it. I'm going through it. I love everything that I'm seeing. Now they have a live action show, and
I really enjoyed the live action show. I thought it was fun. I'm going to make a really weird comparison right now. So One Piece is the new girl of anime for me. It's just the show that like I will throw on, and like sometimes it's just I just have it in the background, but usually I end up sitting down and end up watching an episode. Dude, even though I have it in the background.
That's such a good analogy. I fucking love New Girl. And I throw New Girl on all the time, just in the background. It's just like, all right, yeah, I'll just work on my laptop and see what Schmidt and Wilson get up to. Like,
and that's the thing with One Piece is like, I don't necessarily, and people might jump in the comments and hate me for this, but I don't think you necessarily need to pay full attention to everything that's going on. Now there are story arcs where you do, and there are story arcs, but that's the same thing with anything. There's so much filler in Dragon Ball Z. There's there's filler in a lot of those shows.
It's 8 episodes of them just sitting there powering up, and then finally they fight.
Yeah. It's how anime taught kids how to edge from a real early age.
So true. I wonder why we do.
Yeah. No, I've kind of in Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop was my favorite for the longest time because I loved the sci-fi elements of it. I have to be honest, and I've watched it probably 5 times all the way through now. I know it only has 1 season. I know it's a one and done, but Edge Runners is my favorite anime of all time. Like it's such a perfect season from beginning to end in the storytelling and the characters. I remember watching the trailer for it and just being like, this looks fun because it's cyberpunk, but it just kind of looks like nonstop adrenaline, gore, whatever. And then you start watching it, and within the second episode, you're like, "Oh no, this is going to have so much heart to it." Like the scene where they're on the roof and they're just like looking up into the sky, and that the music that's playing. The music was also another part of that show that like goated it for me. Was like the soundtrack and everything that went along with it, but. I'm going to throw out a few now that I have not watched, but I've been recommended by some people, and I'm curious what your thoughts on them are. First one, My Hero Academia. I've heard good things about it, but I've also heard that it kind of fell off a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I read the manga and I watched it when it first started. I loved it, still love it. There's definitely some episodes where you're kind of just like, all right, let's get to it already. Come on. But it's like I don't want to say like your stereotypical shonen, but it's just like, like you're rooting for the guy, like it's the underdog. He gets his powers when he really shouldn't. He didn't have powers, and you just want him to succeed. He meets a bunch of friends on the way. Like it's just, I don't know. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I'm all caught up. I love it. There's a spinoff happening right now. I might watch it.
Okay. What about Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter? I've heard people say it both ways, but
you gotta watch Hunter. Oh,
yeah,
dude, you gotta.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I've heard that's kind of starting to get put into the same category as like classic must watch of like this is like top tier anime.
I've seen that. I mean, Hunter is just it's so fucking. So they, and I could be completely wrong on this, but they put an anime out like in the late 90s.
Okay.
And then they redid it and put it out probably somewhere in the 2010s. It might be earlier, it might be later, I'm not sure. But I watched the later one.
Okay.
And it was really damn good. But again, I could be completely wrong on this, and somebody in the comments can completely, correct me on this. Because I think that the writer stopped making it, or again, I could be completely wrong. He might have passed away.
Okay.
So so like toward the very end of it, it didn't like pan out, like it didn't finish.
Gotcha.
Maybe it did. I have no idea. You know what? If somebody corrects me in the comments and stuff, I will learn, and I can.
I have a feeling. I think that.
Good.
I think that my audience is there's quite a bit of anime lovers out there. I think I have a tendency to attract just other nerdy people, and I'm 100% here for that. Okay, real quick, couple rapid fire questions just to kind of close this out, because you talked about loving movies and film and TV and stuff like that. So I want you to give me your favorite movie, your favorite TV show, and your favorite musical or Broadway show that you enjoy, like as a consumer, is something that you enjoy watching.
Okay, favorite movie. I would say On the Waterfront.
Okay.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
1940.
What a pull.
It's between that and The Quiet Man.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like it's between that and Dumb and Dumber, or like something that's like it's totally.
I love that. I love The Mask.
Yeah.
I love Garden State.
God, that movie is so fucking good. And because that was like early Scrubs Zach Braff, and it was like when he was really just he was just starting to do the directing thing, and then like that his chemistry with Natalie Portman in that movie was just unbelievable. So cool.
I love that movie so much. I love that movie. I love Midnight in Paris. It might be a little controversial, but I love that movie. I would say it's tied between The Quiet Man with John Wayne and Catherine O'Hara and On the Waterfront with Brando. Nice. TV show, so difficult. I love so many shows. I've watched.
All right, give me two or three. I won't make you pick one.
Yeah, I would say stereotypically Breaking Bad is unbelievable. Trying to be really cool and think of something that like maybe everyone would be like, what? Fucking, I never saw that show before.
Sopranos. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking, what's that about? I wish I could say Game of Thrones, but I can't because the ending was that. And I read all the. I'm still waiting for the. Was it Winds of Winter?
No, you'll be waiting a very long time.
I don't think we'll ever get it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I feel like I just watched a show where I was like, holy shit, that might be one of the best shows I ever saw.
Who was in it?
Now it's one of those things where it's like I watch shows with my girlfriend, but there's also other shows that I'll watch by myself because she's falling asleep.
Yeah.
I feel like it was one of those shows that she was falling asleep where I was like, I'm gonna keep watching this.
Okay.
I said Breaking Bad. a lot of the shows I like kind of fumbled it in the end. Like I loved Dexter, and that kind of just like meh.
Yeah. Have you seen the show Dark on Netflix?
No.
So I want to say it's German. That might be wrong. It's a foreign show, and there's dubbed over, or you can do subtitles with it. It's 3 seasons, and it might be one of the best, most complete TV shows I've ever watched. Meaning, like season 1,
All right.
season 2, and season 3
I'm sold.
are the ending of the show gives so much payoff to the beginning and to the way that everything starts in the loop of all of that. Highly recommend. And then
You know,
I'm a Schitt's Creek guy.
Schitt's Creek's so good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say. I'll give you the shows I'm watching now.
Okay.
I love Reacher on Prime.
Oh, so good. I want him to be Batman so badly. Like, don't make it ring. I love Robert Pattinson.
They announced like the new gun guy. I don't know who he is, but I'm sure I will and be obsessed.
Wait, they announced who the gun Batman's going to be?
Yes.
I missed that. Okay.
I don't know him, but I know I will know him because of my Batman obsession. I'll probably learn everything about him to the point where he's like, who's the freak?
I actually like that though, because like who he picked for Superman was not who a lot of people thought, and not I wasn't familiar with. I don't even remember the actor's name, but I wasn't familiar with him prior to him getting cast in this. I love that James Gunn is casting people that like. Because we've gotten the A-listers, we've gotten the Ben Afflecks, we've gotten the, you know, I'm glad we're kind of getting some new blood with that.
He was in there was a show called The Politician with Ben Platt, and it was a Ryan Murphy show.
Oh, okay.
And it was very like, kind of, Ryan Murphy, like very like Ryan Murphy does American Horror, he did Glee.
Yeah.
It was very much that, and the dude playing Superman was in it.
Oh, okay.
He looked exactly like he does now. Yeah. And there was even a line in it where
David Cornsweet, I think that's his name.
Yes. Yeah. There was even a line in it where Ben Platt's character was like, I mean, you're so perfect looking. You look like Superman. And I remember, and this is years and years ago, and I remember thinking like, fuck, yeah, he does look like Superman. Oh, that's so sick. And then sure enough, now he's Superman. But I would say show-wise, I watched Reacher. I watched a lot of 90 Day Fiance. Don't judge me. So good. I'm terrible with the show. I watch everything. I watch every friggin' show.
Okay, Broadway or musical? What are some of your favorites?
My favorite show is Sunday in the Park with George.
Okay.
I'm a big Sondheim guy. I love Sweeney Todd.
Oh, Sweeney Todd is so good.
I love Carousel, not Sondheim. I love Tick Tick Boom. That's so good. If you watch,
what'd you think of the movie? Did you like the Andrew Garfield movie? Yeah, that was Andrew Garfield, right?
Yeah,
was it Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone? Is that who's in it?
Who's and Vanessa Hudgens was in it.
Vanessa Hudgens. I think
she wasn't one of the leads, but and Lin-Manuel Miranda directed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I loved the movie because I loved the show for so long, and I feel like the movie really like was what the show would try to be. Like it just like it had the budget and the money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Loved that. But I would say my favorite musical is Sunday in the Park with George because it's about an artist who's so in his world and in his art, and the rest of the world is kind of going by him. And he has a relationship with a lady, and she doesn't understand why he can't go out to, the parties and things, like why he has to stay, cooped up and work on painting the sky, painting a hat and everything. And he has these soliloquies about like, I'd hope she'd understand, but they never understand. And I can't expect them to understand. And I'm creating life here. I'm where there is no sky, I am painting a sky. Like, can you not understand that? That's, that just always, I mean, to this day and probably forever will always resonate with me, because it's just so beautiful and it's so wonderful, and it's a big, it's a show about that artistry, and about someone so, pent up and chained to their art, that maybe they're missing really beautiful things happening in their life. And then the opposite side, because as an artist, you can get kind of pent up on, like, I'm working on my art, and you miss different things. And that show kind of shows both sides of the artist and the person trying to shake the artist and go, look out your window, like, it's really nice outside, like, come on. And I've always been so in love with that, and I just love that show so much.
That's awesome. All right. I want to give you an opportunity now to kind of talk about some of the things that you're working on, or things that you're excited about, so that those of our viewers and listeners who have now fallen in love with you throughout this episode, some stuff that they can look forward to and be excited about from you moving forward over the next 6 months to a year.
Well, I'm always posting on TikTok because,
which, real quick, I haven't talked about that yet, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but your TikTok game is fucking phenomenal. Like, the content that you're putting out, it's so simple, but it's so effective. Like, right now, I love the stuff you're doing about, like, day 3 of trying to reach Ryan Tedder. I think that's great because I think, like, you two collaborating would be incredible. I'm a huge One Republic fan, and I love him. Just everything. I saw One Republic a couple of years ago, and it was the tour where they did their set, and then they did a set of all the songs he wrote for Beyonce and wrote for all of that kind of stuff. I don't know if you know that he did that, but yeah, he did like 10 songs.
I know he performed them. That's sick.
They did a bonus extra set of like 10 songs where cool. Like Rihanna and Beyonce and like all of these like hits Maroon 5. Yeah, all of that. But I love the marketing because it's consistent, but it's simple. And I think that that's something that, like, for those of you who are out there who are an artist, who are trying to get stuff out there, go to Parris's TikTok page and just look, because even just simple things like I saw a video that was like, he doesn't know it yet, but he's gonna have like a hit single or whatever, and like just the way that you're utilizing trends and stuff and sounds and things that are going on to simultaneously promote your stuff is just A1. So I just wanted to give you your flowers for that.
So my day job is I work in social media. So
okay.
I with the TikTok though, I always felt very scared, just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, everyone else is doing it. And then maybe like 2 months ago, maybe more, maybe 3, I was like, just fuck it. Like, let me just experiment. Let me just put things out there. And I've really been just kind of like asking whoever sees it, a question like, do you like this song? Is it this? Is it that? Like, am I Delulu? Like, that kind of thing. But the other big thing too, and I'll swear by it, is the creator insights on TikTok. I don't know,
like peak times and things like that. Is that the kind of stuff you're referring to with the analytics? Or
if you search in your search bar, creator insights. I don't know if you've done this before.
I haven't done that.
Okay, I'm about to blow your fucking world open right now.
Okay.
If you search creator insights on TikTok, they're giving you the recipe for what they want to see. So basically, if you search creator insights, and then and it knows, the algorithm in TikTok, whatever, already knows what you're posting, right? So it'll give you a giant list of things that are trending, being talked about, whatever, right? And some of them will just be by themselves. Others will have an upward arrow that indicates that, hey, this is trending upward right now.
Okay.
And you click that thing. So, like, for an example, like, I might type in creator insights, and it might say something like, in the giant list of things, it might say something like POV when you're depressed or whatever. And it has an upward trending thing. So you click that, and then TikTok gives you the title and hashtags that you would use for this thing.
Interesting.
And so you copy and paste that into your caption, or if you already have a video that what I'm tending to do right now is I make a video and then I go to the Creator Insights and I find something trending upward that fits the video I made.
Gotcha.
Then I copy and paste those hashtags and put it in, and I've been having fantastic analytics from that.
Yeah.
And I believe because TikTok it's literally telling you what it wants you to do, and then you do it, and it goes, here's your reward.
Yeah.
The other thing too is it shows you content gaps, what it's called. So you hit content gap, and you go down, and you're seeing all the things because TikTok already knows what you've been posting and what you kind of are all about, and it's showing you the gaps in content on what you're posting. So it's like, oh, you're a musician, you're posting music, great. Here are all the gaps of things that aren't being talked about but are on an upward trend. So it's like almost like here it is, get it first. It's all for you. Here it is, like, you know, first pick of the litter kind of situation. And then you
content gap, meaning this is something that needs more people talking about it or needs more people participating in it.
Correct, but it also is already, most of the time you can find things that are already upward trending. So it's like, hey, no one's talking about this, but it's our algorithm. Our algorithm is saying that this is picking up. So, you know.
So in 3 days, you're going to start seeing an influx of all of these things.
And use these hashtags, exactly. And for the longest time, I was in the 200, 300 jail, and now I'm using the Creator Insights, and like, I'm in the 1,000 view jail. Yeah. Now every video I put up is 800 to 1,000 views, but it's not breaking, but it's better than 100. Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of engagement. I'm getting people saying like, "Hey, this is great! Like, you know, I want to follow this. I want to listen to your music."
Well, your single's doing great. Last time I checked, you were like 14,000 streams on the new single already.
And on the actual Spotify, it's behind. I'm at 20 already on my Spotify already. So I'm like, I'm very happy with it.
That's incredible, man. I'm so happy for you, and you deserve all of that. Like, pop music in general, I think, is a really difficult like genre to make your way into because it's so saturated. And I would say the same thing with hip hop and rap. Hip hop and rap is arguably as popular as pop music is, and it even like crosses over a lot of times. But I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your ass, but like it takes a lot for me, like as an artist, as a producer, for me to hear something and be like, oh, this is different. This is something that is catchy or something that like sticks with me. And so when I tell you, like, I genuinely believe that, not only for Honey Eye and for the stuff that you have coming out in the future, but I'm so excited to check out your album that you put out and more of your stuff. And I'm also like, I kind of feel like I am like front row, like getting ready to see like an explosion because your voice is incredible. The hooks and the catchy lyrics and everything are great. And you just have like what I think is needed to be a successful pop star. And so I genuinely like, I put that, I'm a huge believer in manifestation. So like I put that into the universe for you. Like I so hope that whether it's Honey Eye, whether it's the next single, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar or a fan of Nick D at all. But Nick D kind of had where you're at right now reminds me of Nick D and like where he was before. So like I was heavily involved in, I would consider myself agnostic now, but for a long time I was heavily involved in like the Christian hip hop scene, which Nick D was very much a part of, with people like he was more on like the up and coming level, but like with people like Lecrae and Anti Mineo and like a lot of like the bigger names and whatnot. And then he kind of did a little bit of a shift and started doing pop music and put out Pineapple in 2021, and that blew his entire career up to the point now where like he's everywhere. Fine Apple blew up, and then he had Icy Pop and like all these different things. And it was because he was writing catchy, lyrically interesting stuff, and that's exactly what I'm seeing from you with Honey Eye, and I can only imagine the other stuff. So we've been talking for well over 2 hours. I've had a blast, and to be honest, like I'm even more excited to like just keep talking off air and continue nerding out about stuff. But thank you so much for like taking the time to sit down and do this. It's been
I really appreciate the time, and I love how not just you as an artist, you're putting out your music and doing your thing, but you're also so willing and wanting to connect with other artists and learn their stories and whatever platform and voice you have, the fact that you're taking the time to do your best to elevate others is really profound.
Thank you, man.
No matter what the scope is, it's at its core, it's profound, and it's really, really beautiful and lovely. So really I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the fact that you're just so invested in artistry in itself that you want to explore every nook and cranny of it at every capacity. So so thank you, man, for having me and for doing what you're doing and to keep oning. And I really, really hope the best for all of your endeavors and everything you're doing and everything you want to accomplish and you will accomplish. And yeah, man, God bless. Honestly.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Well, if you guys have not checked out Honey Eye, it's on all streaming platforms now. It is legitimately going to be your favorite song of the summer. Roll your windows down, blast it in your car, and just have fun singing this song. Parris, thank you so much. Follow him, Parris Mitchell Music, on social media, and keep an eye out on my channel for more reactions coming of his music. Like I always say, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell so you'll get the notifications when I drop new stuff. Make sure to check out my most recent single as well. It's called Bones. It's also on all streaming platforms. The link for that is in the description below, and I'm going to put the link for Honey Eye down there too. So you might as well just take Bones, Honey Eye. They're two very different songs. Throw them on your playlist anyway. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap this up. Thanks again, man. And we'll see all of you guys back here for the next one, Between the Lines.